Hi, welcome back. This is Tiffanie Travels, where we help women and families travel, build wealth, and live richer. So today we're talking to a special guest who did a year in Spain while teaching English. So I'm going to bring her on right now. Hey.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so why don't we start by you introducing yourself and telling us about your channel and like what kind of content people can find there.
Okay, sure. So my name is Tamaya, but my channel is Black Imperial Travel. By the name, as you can see, I do a lot of travel content. I do local travel content, abroad travel content, travel tips, and then I also have a living abroad series for the time that I spent living in Spain. So you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I still call it Twitter, and Instagram.
Okay, why did you pick Spain for your? Was it a year? Did you
I
do
did 2 years.
2 years?
I
Okay, yeah.
did. I did 2 years in Spain. For me, my first country that I ever traveled to abroad was Spain
Mhm.
when I was 19. In school, I majored in finance, but I minored in Spanish. I always studied Spanish since like middle school.
Uh-huh.
So when it came time for me to get some of my credits to do my minor in Spanish, I could do a summer in Spain. So I was like trying to convince my dad. I was like, "Can I go?" Because I had never been out the country. I was 19, and I was like, "But I can get college credit like for my classes." So he said, "Yeah, I could do it." So I ended up going to Santander, Spain.
Okay.
And that was my first time out the country. And it just really opened my eyes to a lot of things and how different life could be. And when I did that time, I always said I would find a way to get back. And that's what I did. You know, I found a way to get back through teaching English, but that's how I ended up back in Santander, Spain. After having traveled there when I was 19, I ended up moving back like 2 days before my 26th or 26th birthday.
Nice. And so, since it's your minor, do you speak Spanish fluently then?
I would say I'm pretty fluent. And my family, they say, "You're 100% fluent." And I'm like, I wouldn't say 100%. I would say like 75. I would give it like 75. Because there's things that I feel like I still want to continue working on in my Spanish language skills, but they did get better living and being, exposed and to immersed into the culture, especially living somewhere like Santander. I say Santander, but we say Santander. But I'm trying to, where it's a smaller city in the north of Spain. So it's not like Madrid or Barcelona. There's not a lot of English speakers. Hi, that's my sister.
Hi.
I have on her hoodie.
Nice.
Yeah, but there wasn't a lot of English speakers. So when you live somewhere that's, not one of the major cities in Spain, you have to either you get good at Spanish or you were good at Spanish before you got there. Hey, Brandon. So yeah.
So this is Spain Spanish, which is different from
Mhm.
like the Spanish that we hear here in America or like being so close to South America, Latin America.
Right.
How did you adjust, or were you familiar with Spain Spanish because you were studying? Because I've been there, and the that they do,
Right.
like Barcelona, it's different from what we're used to here.
It is different. The sound is just the thetheo that they do is different. But in school anyway, they mainly grammatically they teach Spanish. So it's funny because out there they don't call it like Spanish spoken in Spain, they call it Castellano.
Yeah.
So that's what they say that they speak. They speak Castellano. They don't speak the Spanish that everybody else speaks. This is what they say.
Yeah.
But it was a little different, but grammatically it wasn't different. I just had to adjust to their accent, and then people in the north have a different accent from people in the south, like we do here,
Yeah.
So just a little bit of that I had to adjust to. But I mean, I think my knowledge was good before I went, but I definitely got better really quickly as I had to start my life out there.
This is my mom. Hey, Mom.
Hi.
And my daughter's probably watching too.
Oh.
Okay, but so in some cities, like that border France, their Spanish has like French influences.
Mhm.
Does that make it more challenging? I think like Barcelona is like close to the French border, so then their Spanish is a little, I guess, French influenced.
It can be. And then Barcelona, they don't just speak Spanish as well, they speak Catalan. So
Yeah.
that's a different dialect that I don't necessarily understand as well as Spanish.
Okay.
And then also, so in the north of Spain, I was in Santander. Is it opposite? You know how on TikTok it flips? I don't know. But in the north of Spain, if I was in Santander, the region was Cantabria. If you go to the east, the region where Basque Country, where Bilbao was, they also speak Euskera, which to me is like it's like if you were to mix like Russian and Spanish. And that's
Oh,
the region right next to Cantabria. So there are a lot of different other dialects and languages that are spoken in Spain that aren't just, Spanish, with Euskera and Catalan. So no, I do not understand Euskera at all. But if you were to go to Bilbao, some people have heard of Bilbao. It's a bit more popular than Santander. Their signs are in Euskera and Spanish. So, but there are people who speak it, and you'll know it if you hear it, because you're like, you wouldn't understand it. I know I didn't. I can't understand it even with my knowledge of Spanish.
yeah. So were there any other cities you were considering for your summer abroad and then for your teaching abroad?
Okay, my summer abroad, no. Like how it was presented is that we would be going to Santander to do the major course of study. We did spend some time in Madrid and also in Barcelona to kind of get, the big city experience there.
Mhm.
But like I was 19, so I was just excited to go see some stuff and do some stuff. And being a 19-year-old in Europe, I was like, oh, I can get a beverage or two out here legally. Not like so. I was just excited to be out and about when I was 19. As far as when I moved back, like full time, I really, really wanted to move to Santander because I knew, some of the language, some of the culture, and Santander is, I feel like, a good city to move to if you haven't lived abroad before, because it's not that big. So it's not like you're navigating a major city, as well as, having different cultural changes and experiencing culture shock and things of that nature. So when I was looking into moving to Spain, I either wanted to go to Santander like I did, or I wanted to go to Bilbao because I had been to Bilbao as well. But all of these cities were in the north of Spain.
Okay. When you got to Spain when you
Mhm.
were 19, did you have any culture shock? Because I did a semester abroad
Mhm.
in Australia, and there were
Ooh,
so many people backpacking Australia. In addition to, there were so many travelers from Europe. And I realized while I was doing my semester abroad, I realized that they travel different. So
mhm.
they go on vacation for like 2 to 4 weeks and they call it holiday. And they're like,
Right.
"Oh, I'm on holiday and they're naming all, we're gonna go to Melbourne and then we're gonna go to New Zealand." And I'm like, "Y'all doing all that in this one?" They're like, "Yeah, yeah, we have like a couple of weeks off." So it was like, oh, this is different from how it
Right.
is in the States. So did you have that? Did you meet people and you realize their way of life is different from how we're used to?
For sure. Speaking of like hiking and things, Santander and like the north of Spain is on a really famous like trek throughout Europe called Camino de Santiago. And it's
Uh-huh.
a really famous like hiking trail throughout Spain. So we would meet people. You could tell the people who were doing it because they would have the backpacks. You could also tell who was doing it because they also had that smell, that hiking smell. But
Uh-huh.
it was always interesting to meet a whole bunch of basically European travelers was mainly what I would meet.
Yeah.
And then also it was random because Santander it's on the beach. It's actually like a beach city. It's a port city as well, the Bay of Santander. So we would meet people who were working on ships. So I would meet Filipinos who were like working on ships who would come and they would want to speak English with us. It's like they could spot the Americans and they'd want to, meet us and speak English with us because I thought that they would know Spanish or some people would know Spanish. They would say, no, 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 don't speak Spanish with me. It's easier for you to speak English with me. And I'm like, well, I mean, okay, but I'm here to speak more Spanish. But they do travel differently and they have a lot more time and a lot more freedom to be able, especially like European travelers, to do the things that they do. And then we would meet a lot of outdoorsy people, people who like their enjoyment is like hiking and biking and cycling and surfing, because a lot of that was really common. There's a lot of surf schools that they had in Santander.
Okay.
So it was interesting because me personally, I mean, outside is okay, but I'm not a big outdoorsy or athletic person. So it was always interesting meeting people who like that's what they did for fun.
Yeah, seeing the backpackers is
Right.
so interesting because it's not a thing here as much. People
No,
have like the rolling suitcases and the
exactly.
Pullman. Over there, they carry all their luggage on this big backpack. It's like from here all the way down to their
Right.
knee, and it has their sleeping bag so they can set up and sleep if they
Everything.
do. And it's like this is how they go, and that's like the term, the backpackers. But like
Mhm.
it's not, you don't really see it here.
No, you don't see it here. And honestly, that I like to be spontaneous, but like to a certain extent. I feel like with that, you have to be a lot more flexible. Like you don't necessarily know where you're gonna stay for the night. Oh, I might stay at this hostel, or I might, make camp here. I am a Virgo. I have to plan. And I need a plan. So for me, like maybe one day I'll do backpacking, but I feel like for me, it would have to be a bit more controlled. I wish I could go with the flow, but like my family knows I can only I need a time, a set time that I know this is the time to go with the flow.
Right. It's defined hours.
Yes, yes, precisely.
So, what are the requirements for teaching English abroad?
So with the program that I did going to Spain, it's called NALCAP and NALCAP. And NALCAP, I'm looking at, sorry, I saw not the hiking smell. No, it's a thing, seriously.
My
But
mom wants me
NALCAP
to say
stands for,
hi.
oh,
Hi, Willow.
hi. But NALCAP stands for North American Language Cultural Assistance Program. So, hi. So for NALCAP, basically, you have to be a native English speaker from either the US or Canada.
Okay.
So that was the requirement. And the requirement as well is that you did have to have a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Or I'm pretty sure you had to have it, or at least an associate's, I think. Don't quote me on that. I know you had to have at least an associate's, I want to say, but the main thing was that you were a native English speaker and English was your first language. You didn't have to have any experience teaching. You didn't
Okay.
have to have any experience with kids. They really wanted you for your language skills because you're hired to be an English language assistant. And a lot of people think that you have to be like a huge teacher and have all of this experience. I did have a little bit of experience working with kids. My first job was at Kumon. I don't know if you've ever heard of Kumon.
No.
It's like a tutoring center.
Okay.
So I did have experience with kids, but as far as like leading a classroom, you would lead, I might be going deep into this question. You would lead your classroom, but you would have set hours for the day. So for my school that I worked at a primary school and I taught ages 3 to 11. So they had me rotating between different classes throughout the day. And
Okay.
my schedule was I worked Wednesdays through Fridays. So you don't work a full week. You only have to work 12 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You are an assistant. You're not like an actual, like you work with the teacher of the class to develop like the lesson plans and the things of that nature for what you're going to do for the English portion of their coursework.
So you're working 12 hours a week. What else did you do to support yourself while you were teaching English?
Right. A lot of people get second jobs. My family knows me. They know I'm if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to go to work.
Mhm.
So I found a second job pretty quickly. The one of the coordinators at my school, he had someone who worked at I don't want to call it like a college, but it was kind of like a community college equivalent out
Okay.
there in Santander. He had a professor who worked there who they were looking for a language assistant to do a business English with their students. And since I had a finance degree, they were like, oh, this would be a good fit. So I taught night classes at the community college equivalent as well. So that's how I had made my extra money. I worked at the school during the day, and then
Okay.
at night I worked at the college. But that was for my first year. My second year, I had worked at an after school language academy. So I was doing young kids there, but it was always really easy to find another job or another source of work because there's always people out there who are advertising and looking for native English speakers to do private tutoring lessons or like at a formative, school or after school program. There's always ways to get extra money when you're a native English speaker in a different country.
Okay, so they didn't require. Oh, my mom wants to know if you're still teaching English abroad.
No, sadly, I'm back in the States. I was like, I did not pick the best time to return. But yeah, I was out there for 2 years. I can kind of go a little bit into more detail about that. Basically, when you get on with NowCap, the priority for the NowCap program is for people who haven't had experience teaching before, or excuse me, like teaching with the NowCap program before. So your first year, you're really high priority, and then your second year, you're lower, and then you cap out at like 5 or 6 years that you can't participate in the program anymore. So I wanted to stay in. When you go, you do your first year in Santander or wherever you were placed, and then you can decide: do I want to stay in that same region, or do I want to renew for another region? I loved Santander. I was having a great time. I said, no, I want to stay at my school that I was working at in the same region. And my school wanted me back. So, it was a match. After you spend 2 years in a region, you can't teach in that region anymore.
Okay.
So for me, I said, do I want to move all of my stuff by myself out here to another region, or, do I want to just go back home? So that was kind of like the decision that I was toying with, but ultimately I decided to come back home.
Okay. And then you were saying you had the extra jobs. How does that work with like visa or working permits?
Right. So it works, but it doesn't. I was paid under the table for everything. Now
Oh,
with the college, they did have me like on payroll with paperwork, but it's because they found out like a way that they could like put it on their books as like I was like a external contractor kind of for them. For the community college, but for the school, the after school program I worked at, they paid me in cash.
okay. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, so most of the stuff, because it does get tricky, and the requirements could have changed since I did my visa.
Uh-huh.
But when I had my visa and I don't have my card. I should have brought my card, but I had like my little residency card or whatever. Um, on that, it said that with it, I wasn't authorized to have outside jobs.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the requirements, because technically when you go over there, even though you are a teacher or a teaching assistant, you are under, as far as the government, you're under a student visa.
Mhm.
And that's how they get you over there.
Okay.
And I
Because
see the question down
yeah,
there.
my mom asked if they assisted with your housing or did you have to pay for housing?
No, you pay. You pay for housing. This is why, at least for me, it was a good option to be in Santander, because it's in the north, and the north is known to be a bit cheaper. If you're in a
Okay.
city like Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, the more cities, when you think of Spain, what you hear first, or the first couple of cities, you're going to pay more money. what a lot of people do, at least that I've seen, is they will join the Now Cap program like right after they graduate college. I was different as to where I worked in finance for 5 years and I decided I needed a break. So I knew when I was moving, I was like, no shade to the college kids or freshly college kids. I knew I wanted to live alone because I was like, I know we're still I'm still in my 20s, but there's a difference between 21 and 26. I didn't want to live with a whole bunch of 21-year-olds.
Right.
So I made sure I saved my money, from my plan, because I had planned to, it was about a year and I was like, yeah, this is something I'm going to want to do. So I had started saving money then. But I knew I wanted to live alone. So I was looking at places to live. A very famous app that we use in Spain is called Idealista.
Okay.
And that's where you can find like apartments for rent and things like that. So that's how I found both of my apartments, because I lived in 2 different apartments. My 1 year I lived in a studio, a very small studio. Yeah, once you're done with roommates, exactly. I was like, no, I'm too old. And it's not even that I was old, but like I did that in college and stuff, and that's just not something I wanted to do. And that's not what I wanted my experience to be like. So I made sure that I found somewhere I could stay at in my budget, even though my first year I was basically living in a little shoebox, but it was my shoebox and it was nobody else's. So that was something that was very important to me. But to answer a long answer, but no, they do not pay for your housing with the Now Cap program.
So you were saying you were paid under the table. So I've looked into different programs for teaching English, particularly in Spain. And the feedback was that they would give priority to the European countries that are English speaking. So because of the visa or the work permit, it would be easier for, like, say, someone from the UK to come over to Spain and find employment. And then, so you said you didn't have any issues finding something within your 2 years?
I didn't have any issues, but I would say that, yeah, because it's the Now Cap program is one of many programs. Like, this is just, for North America specifically. But there, I met a lot of people from the UK who were doing the same thing I was doing, basically. And yeah, it was a lot easier. Well, not necessarily the UK because of Brexit, but there were also French, because we're called auxiliares in Spanish, but as an English auxiliar with they would have French speaking ones, English speaking ones, German speaking ones, Portuguese speaking ones, Italian speaking ones. So there were people who were native speakers from all of those different countries and things. And it was easier for people who like to find a job where they could be on the books.
Yeah.
But it's also not hard to find somebody who's willing to just pay you under the table. At least it wasn't for me. And then you could advertise your services online too, if you wanted to just be a private tutor for people. I know people who did, private tutoring lessons. I just liked the idea of having a set schedule and going somewhere every day. Like I said, I like routine. So I opted for just getting paid under the table for the most part from the schools and things. But I don't think it's that hard to find another source of work while you're out there.
So we have another comment. She's in Spain now. Learning Spanish would go a lot faster with Spanish roommates, but she can't do it.
Yeah, one of my friends when I was out there, she did have Spanish roommates, so that helped with her Spanish speaking skills. But I cannot. I did not want to do the roommate thing. I'm also an introvert, so I was like, when I'm ready to go out and meet people, I will do that. But when I want to be at home by myself, I can do that. Wine was very cheap in Spain. I would go get my bottle of wine, cook, relax. I personally needed my own space. But everybody is different. Some people would like to live with roommates because it helps them get out more, meet people, et cetera, et cetera. Please do what's best for you in that regard. But I know me, especially being like I said, a little older in the program, at least when I started and things of that nature, being 26, 27, where a lot of people were 21, 22, it's just a little different with that. So most of the people that I met, I would either meet out, out and about on the town, try to meet people who were like in my same age group and things of that nature, because it was fine meeting with the people from time to time who were also, English speaking teachers and things like that. But I did spend a lot of good time by myself.
Yes, introverts unite separately.
Exactly. You get it.
So I'll put your channel back up here for anybody who just joined. It is at Black Imperial Travel. And you said you would go out. Did you meet the people at work, or were there meetups? Because you were working with kids. So was it the other English teachers or other language teachers?
Yeah, we would have meetups. I'm still in the Facebook group, ironically, but there was like an English speaking group in Santander, and they meet every Thursday at this bar. So sometimes, we would go, and it wasn't just teachers, but it was people who want to practice their English skills, who were Spanish natives. So that's kind of how we got to, mix and mingle. And then in Santander, there was always something to do. Like there was always a parade or an event. Like the Spanish like events. They like to do things and get out and see things. And the city always had like an event or a holiday or a protest. There also are always protesting. But with that, you can get out and see, oh, well, what are they talking about today? What's going on in the plaza today? And that's just how you can meet a lot of people and, just explore.
So you were in Spain for 2 years, and then I saw on your YouTube channel, you went to like a bunch of other cities in Europe. Yes. So tell us about the other cities you went to and which one was your favorite? Like, what did you see? How long did you go for? Okay. I guess also, what kind of breaks did you get working at the school? Did you have like summer breaks?
Okay. As far as breaks go, the thing I loved about teaching is that every 2 months you would get at least a week off of work. Mm-hmm. The work-life balance in Spain is like chef's kiss. They know what they're doing. So that's why I was traveling so much. My friends would always say, y'all just had a break. I'm like, don't hate the player. Like, I know we just got off work, but we're off work again. I'm not going to lie. I went a lot of places. I want to say throughout the 2 years I was there, I don't know. At least 10 countries, and that's being conservative. See, look at Brandon talking about she stayed home. Literally, they were like, where are you now? And the 10 countries is being conservative because it probably is like upwards of 15 that I went to while I was in Spain those 2 years. Mm-hmm. I love Slovakia. Is very underrated. I love Slovakia. I went to Bratislava. It's their capital. If you know me, I love wine. Slovakians do wine really well. And another thing I really liked about Slovakia is, we haven't talked about it yet, but I'll kind of get into it, is where, traveling while Black is a little different. And, I get stared at a lot. People just stare at me and, like, what is this Black girl doing here in the middle of Eastern Europe? But when I was in Slovakia, nobody was staring. Nobody was staring at me. People were just like, it was, just like I was another human being. It wasn't really, nobody was like, kind of doing the little look. So I think that's what I really liked about Slovakia too, is that, it was just like I was exploring somewhere new, but nobody was exploring me exploring somewhere new.
Yeah.
Yes, I really like Slovakia and Switzerland. Switzerland was, I loved Zurich. I loved Geneva. I love Switzerland. I love Switzerland down. And I went to Switzerland in December, so it was cold.
So Switzerland's supposed to be expensive. Was it like ridiculous? Like chocolate, like a little box of chocolate is like 30, I guess it would be equivalent of $30 or something like that.
She was pricey. I did an Airbnb normally, because a lot of the travels that I did, I would say 95% of the travels that I did solo. Mm-hmm. So with that, I would just get a little Airbnb where you have your own room that you can stay in and lock, but shared bathroom, there. Or I would do a hostel situation to where it was the same thing. Like I'm not gonna lie, I do not do the bunk bed hostel thing, but I will get a room in a hostel. I don't mind the shared bathroom. I just get my shower shoes and, keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
But I do need somewhere where it's just me in the room, a little corner where I can lock. So that's how I made like my stays cheaper. The most amount that I spent was obviously on food and drink. That's what I spent most of my money on when I was traveling, because that's just what I like to do. But yeah, Switzerland, Slovakia. I also really like the time that I had. I did it in one trip, so it's kind of combined. But Denmark and Sweden was really cool. I went to Copenhagen, which was also
Ooh.
cold. I went when it was cold. This was November. I went to Copenhagen. I also went to Lund and Malmö, Sweden. So those were really nice places that I really liked as well. And also Marrakesh, Morocco was actually really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, now that I'm thinking, I went to a lot of places, but those are the ones that are sticking out in my mind right now.
So did you said that you got looks, like just people are curious because they've maybe never even seen an African American in person. And so did you get those looks in Spain as well?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. People would stare. They would just look and stare. I think a lot of the staring was probably for the fact that I do talk on the phone a lot, I guess, more than the average human being, at least out there, because, I was talking to friends, family. I always had my headphones in and was on the phone. And naturally, I would be speaking English.
Oh, okay.
So that also would add into like why people are staring. But no, people would stare, but people would stare, but I would just stare back. I don't know. I'm a confrontational person and I'm not afraid of conflict. So I would just stare back and then we would just stare at each other. But I got used to it, honestly. But as other than the staring, there really wasn't like anything else that I experienced while I was in Spain that was like, because I've heard stories and I know that people have told stories, but other than the staring, for me, I haven't like outwardly experienced or like anything that I felt like was racist, except for one time, but it was an older lady. And I was walking to the bus stop and it was raining and I'm like, hurrying, and I sat down and I had my headphones in. She was really lucky because she muttered something like under her breath.
Mm-hmm.
And like she like cut her eyes at me really strong. So I paused my music and I asked her like, what? And she didn't want to repeat it. So I feel like she said something crazy. But she should be glad that I did not hear her. But other than that one instance where somebody probably did call me something wrong, and the staring there, I really didn't experience anything other than that. And that was in 2 years. So
yeah. Okay. Did you do any dating in Spain? Because it is said that they like them some color.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Maybe I went on a couple dates while I was out there. Honestly, before I moved, I was like, oh, I'm gonna meet somebody and all of this stuff. And then when I got out there, I was so happy to be living alone. I really didn't want anybody in my space. But I did do a little dating here and there. But what, at least like as a Black woman out there, like you could go to any European country and then the African men who live there are gonna be like, so that was really like some of the Spanish men like you, but like the African men, they just want a piece. So yeah, that's mainly what I had experienced while I was there.
Did you go to France and Italy?
Yeah, I did go to. I went to France and Italy while I lived in Spain, but it wasn't my first time going to France or Italy while I was living in Europe. But while I lived out there, I went to Bordeaux, which I love because, like I said, I love wine. So Bordeaux is really, really nice. They call it mini Paris. I would say that that's a good thing, a good descriptor of it, because I'm not a big Paris fan, I've been 3 times. But I did go to Paris while I was out there because I went to a Burna Boy concert. So me and my best friend went. Yeah, that was fun. Now that was actually fun. That was actually fun because I usually don't have a good time in Paris. Usually Paris like lets me down every time, but that third time was a charm with that one. So I did love the Burna Boy concert too. That was fun. And then my sister, my mom, and my dad came to visit me because they wanted to see where I was living, what I was doing. And then while they had came to Spain, we also had went to Rome. Okay. So we all went to Rome together, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed our time in Rome. We still talk about it. So I think everybody had a good time. And then New Year's, it was New Year's last year? Whatever, this 2025 now. So New Year's, 2024, I was in Milan. So Milan was pretty cool. Milan was okay. Not like I experienced like racism or anything. I just think Milan was a little overrated. I don't know. I liked Rome more, and I know a lot of that might be a controversial statement because people are like, Rome is so popular, but I loved it. I had a blast. But Milan was just okay. I don't have to go back.
Yeah. So you were saying you don't like Paris, and I like the architecture of Paris. Just how the city is laid out. It reminds me of DC because it's very intentional. It's
no, that's true.
You can see straight down because I'm from New York, and New York is like this. There was no plan. They were just building and stuff, so you can't see straight down like a street. But Paris, they have like a restriction on how high this can be.
Yeah, that's true.
It has like really clean lines, like DC, so you can see monuments from far away. You can see it. I love that part. The pastries are delicious. The people now.
Yeah, that's Parisians, I feel like this is another controversial statement, but when you live somewhere that you know is a huge tourist destination, I feel like, yes, tourists may be annoying to you, but you know that you live somewhere where people have been waiting their whole lives to go. So it's like, I understand people might be annoying or tourists might be annoying, but it's like, where you live though, right? I prefer South of France. That's my best friend who we went to the Burna Boy concert with.
Okay, the pastries are good.
We tore the pastries up. Now, best creme brulee I ever had was in Paris. It was a coffee creme brulee, some restaurant we found. But I just prefer South of France. South of France is my thing. That's what we like. We like Nice, Marseille, down there in the south. I can get with. I could move out there, but Paris it's okay. But if you've never been, go try it out for yourself. Everybody has a different opinion, but it's cool.
Yeah, I was in like a cafe in Paris, and I laughed, and I have like an American laugh. It's not like a
right.
Exactly. And the owner looked at me like I was disturbing her peace. Like she really looked at me.
Yeah, I feel like they can spot an American from a mile away, which they kind of can because we are not quiet people, but also like, personality. Like, let's have it. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Why are we acting so? We're not at work,
right?
So. But it's I think everybody should go. But if I were to recommend anything, it would definitely be South of France. And then if you love wine, you have to do Bordeaux. If you're a wine lover, you have to do Bordeaux. I feel like it's a must because I loved it out there. And a lot of the places now that I'm calling them out and thinking, a lot of these places I traveled to, I went when it was cold. Like I went to Bordeaux in January. I went to Sweden and Denmark in November, Switzerland, December. Because people are like, well, are you sure you enjoyed it? And I'm like, yeah, because it was cold. It was really cold and I still had a good time. So yeah, I feel like I do a lot of winter travel. I don't know.
So how did you find the culture in Rome or in Italy versus the culture in Spain?
Another controversial statement. I do not like Spanish food. I know. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. I was trying to tell because my students, they would ask me, well, like, Tamaya, why don't you like the food? I'm like, where is the seasoning, y'all? Where is the seasoning? Parsley is not It's not seasoning. I'm a Black girl from the South. We like seasoned food. So I was showing them like videos of like the North Carolina State Fair, or like different things to try to get them to understand, like, yeah, I know like Americans are perceived as gluttonous, and we can be, but like food is good and food needs flavor. So like a lot, at least in the north of Spain, a lot of, they just do food really plainly. They're like, we just want to taste, because they're like, well, we just want to taste the fish, or we just want to taste the meat. I'm like, I want to taste it too, but with some Lowry's or something. So I preferred the food in Rome. And this is also a bit biased because I do love Italian food anyway. But the food in Rome was just, it was really good. The pasta, the pizza, all of everything that we had. And we went to a steakhouse out there and had an amazing tartare. I love tartare. But I just think the food was better in Italy than in Spain. And probably in Rome, people were a bit friendlier. The north of Spain is known to be a bit more of a conservative area. Like there's more older people who live in the north.
Okay.
Especially in Cantabria, the region that I live. So you could tell, because I mean, don't get me wrong, the older population, they would be out and about.
Okay.
They did not play around. They would be out and about. But you could kind of look at how people were dressed and like what they were doing to see that it was a bit more of a conservative place to be. Like I like leggings and sweatshirts and stuff like that, and they would be like dressed every day, and I'm like, I can't commit to something like that. So, oh hey Sade. So yeah, I think that that's probably the main difference. And then Rome is more of a touristy place anyway, so they're used to seeing, a lot of different people from a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But so I did enjoy it, but I don't know if I would live there, but I would go back and visit again.
What's the dish in Spanish culture where it's like it's a large bowl and they put all of the seafood or
the paella?
Paella. Yeah, that's like their staple.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I compare that to like anything Italian, I'm just like, Italy beats everywhere.
Right.
For me, Italy beats everywhere.
Well, paella is like, it's a southern Spanish dish. Like it originated like in Valencia, which is kind of like west, but south kind of at the same time. But it's more known to be a southern Spanish dish. So in the north, like they call them murabas, but it's basically fried calamari.
Yes.
But the thing is with the calamari, like they just fry it and then you just put lemon juice. That's what I'm saying. I like a little Old Bay. It could be salt-free seasoning, but like I had everybody bring me seasoning. Every time someone came to visit me, I'm like, please bring me lemon pepper. Please bring me Old Bay. I just needed some extra seasoning. But the Spanish know how to do wine. They know how to do wine well. Mm-hmm. I will never take that away from them.
Okay, so you were traveling all throughout Europe. Mm-hmm. Your sister said they need some flavor.
Yeah, because when they came, I had took them to one Spanish restaurant and they liked it because I was like, I just want you to come and try it so that you can, try it. But I was like, we don't have to eat any more Spanish food. I loved Spanish McDonald's. I will stand by Spanish McDonald's. They had chicken wings, which I miss. They had a good buffalo chicken, like kind of like a spicy chicken crispy sandwich, and they had a McFlurry with a Biscoff McFlurry. I would probably eat McDonald's like twice a month, and I would get it delivered. McDonald's was really good. And my mom and my best friends, everybody, they'd be like, "You eat McDonald's again?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah. So that I stand by that. But no, when people would come, I was like, "Yeah, we can go to one like regular Spanish restaurant." But my favorite restaurant in Santander was called El Cerbal, and they're a Michelin star restaurant. And I would always take, now that was good. The fine dining was good. I would always take, anytime somebody came, I'm like, we have to go to El Cerbal and do their tasting. It's like 7 or 8 courses, and you got to do it with the wine pairing. Yeah, it's a Michelin star restaurant, and they're serious. So I think I went 4 times in the 2 years that I lived there, because I found it, like I had mentioned a little bit earlier, when I moved to Spain originally, it was 2 days before my 26th birthday. So I was looking for somewhere to, take myself out for my birthday. And that's how I found El Cerbal. I went by myself the first time, but then every time after that, like my best friend Sharday came, my family came, then my other best friend Aubrey came, and every time everybody came to Cerbal, and everybody loved Cerbal with the food and the tasting menu and everything. The fine dining was good, and it's a nice restaurant on the beach, very, very aesthetic. So that was good.
Okay, so we have a question from Sade. I've been meaning to ask about the first steps or process to be able to teach like you did or even study abroad.
Yeah, so for what I did, honestly, for teaching, I had heard like, you kind of hear murmurings when you're into travel, like this is something that you can do. So I just started Googling, like we all do, like how to teach English abroad, or how to teach English in Spain. I particularly wanted to move to Spain because, like I had mentioned before, I had some, previous Spanish language exposure, but I wanted to get better. So that's really why I was apt on moving to Spain more than anywhere else in Europe. But I just compared a lot of different programs, like Conserva or Conversa Spain. I can't remember if it's Conversa or Conserva Spain. CIEE, RVF International. There's a couple more, but I ended up going with RVF International. And basically, now it is a cost. You do pay them. I don't remember how much it was. Maybe like $1,200 that you pay them, but they basically do the entire process of getting you from the States to Spain. They help you with navigating everything that you need to do with the embassy, all of your paperwork, because I had to do a lot. I had to get fingerprinted and get background checked out here. And I had to fill out an application. I had to get a health screening. I had to do a couple of things. I do have a video about like the stuff that I had to do on my channel, because I don't remember it all off the top of my head right now. Yeah. But I had to do all that. But RVF helps you because, I mean, when you're doing all of these documents and things, they're in Spanish. So, yeah, so they help you fill out all the paperwork, everything that you need, get you contacted or connected with the school so that you can contact them, where you're going to be working at, helping you to find an apartment. All of those kinds of things are what RVF International help you do. So when I was comparing programs, I just found that program to be the most valuable for me. People move without program assistance all the time because, like I said, it is something that you're paying them to do a service for you. You can just apply to NowCap on your own. You don't have to pay to do the move per se. But if you've never lived out of the country before, I would personally recommend at least going or looking into some type of service that helps you navigate that process. Because, the bureaucracy of it all, and you're doing all this and it's not your first language, can be challenging. So I wouldn't recommend just hopping across anywhere willy-nilly. But if you got it like that, cool. But I knew I did not have it like that and I needed help. Because also when you get to Spain, there's more paperwork that you have to fill out. And then I had to get visa pictures, and I had to go down to basically like the international office and the police station, and you have to put all your stuff on file, and then you have to fill out basically like census data that you have to go to their version of the DMV, and you have to say, hey, I'm an American living here at this address, and like, you have to get a bank account, you got to get a phone, like, all of that stuff. RVF did help you with.
Okay.
So it's like, if you think you can do all that on your own or just figuring it out with like Reddit threads or, whatever people do, fine. But that I would recommend at least having some type of, for your first year, at least some type of assistance doing that, because it is a lot. And I didn't even list everything that it is,
So you had a local bank account. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. That's cool.
I did, yeah. I can't remember if I did the bank account first or the phone, because when I got there, like the day after I got there, I did get excuse me, I have an eyelash. But I did get a hotel, I think for like 10 days, like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. I got a hotel, and I was like, this is gonna have to last me until, our, like, this is my deadline to find somewhere to live, basically. But when I had first got there, I checked into the hotel, everything like that. And then I think the next day, because I bought a phone here, SIM unlocked before I left. Some people use their same phone. I personally wanted to have a different phone. I wanted to have one phone for like all of my American stuff and then one phone for my abroad stuff. So I just bought a refurbished phone off Back Market. This is not, I'm not sponsored by anybody, so this is not no promo. But I bought a phone from Back Market and then took it over there. And then when I got over there, I got there's like three major providers in Spain. It's like Orange, Movistar, and Vodafone.
Okay.
I tried to go to Vodafone and they was closed. So then I went to Orange and they were open. That's the only reason I got a SIM card from Orange. And I had kind of told them, hey, with my baby Spanish at the time, but I was like, hey, I'm moving here. I just need a SIM card. And I think my phone bill was like 15 euros a month.
Oh, wow.
It was nothing for like unlimited, basically unlimited everything. It was like 15 euros a month, or it seemed like it was unlimited. I never ran out of data or anything like that. And then nobody really texts, everybody's WhatsApp over there. So,
okay.
And then with the bank account, there's a few banks. I knew I wanted to bank. It's funny enough. The reason Santander, like if you've heard of Santander Bank, like the headquarters is in Santander.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I want to bank with them because they have more resources, here in Santander for Santander Bank. So I just went up there with like my passport and then some of the other paperwork that I had, like, that my visa was getting processed, et cetera, et cetera. Open my bank account. And over there, it's different because I feel like over here, we have like, I feel like once you're like 18, you kind of, or 20, you kind of phase out of like young adult things. But over there, it's not till you're 30 that they consider you like a real adult, I guess. So they were like, oh, you qualify for the, young adult account or whatever, something like that. And I was like, oh, really? Young adult? Okay. So that's how I had set that up in my bank account. And I would get paid through the school. The government of Cantabria was the one who was paying us. That would go straight to my bank account. You get paid once a month.
Okay.
So keep that in mind, everybody. But yeah, so that's how I had set up my bank account, my phone. I'm pretty sure if I didn't do it all on the same day, I did it like one day after the other. But this is like, I did all this within like the first 2 to 3 days of living there. Cause you got to get operational quickly.
So when you were in Italy, did your background in Spanish help you with the Italians? Because, it's Italian and Spanish are so similar.
Speaking, no, not at all. It didn't help me. Understanding, yes. If I listen real hard to someone who speaks Italian or Portuguese, I can know what's going on. Okay. I just gotta listen good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have getting used to be paid once a month is an adjustment for sure.
Yeah.
And going through all of this without an agency, mostly because you wanted Spanish, but
I guess, yeah, it can, it can help, with your knowledge of the language, doing all of this stuff, without an agency. But then once you get over there, like everything that I said, like I had to open my bank account, that was all in Spanish. I had to get a new phone. That was all in Spanish. I'm looking for an apartment. I'm navigating, my, lease contract and everything. All of that is in Spanish. So even if you do go with the agency, you will get experience and exposure with doing all of these legalities that you normally do in English in a different language. So if you will get the experience. But yeah, an agency was helpful to me, and I think that it would be helpful for somebody else, but it's not a requirement at all. Yeah.
So when you were flying all around Europe, how much were the tickets? Is it like domestic flight? Because domestic flights in the US could still be like $300 if you're going like Florida, DC, New York, DC. So how much is it from like Spain to Italy?
I would try to find deals. Like I stayed on Ryanair. I know everybody calls Ryanair the spirit of Europe, but you know, they were cheaper. So I would find cheap flights on Ryanair all the time, but it would depend. Honestly, like some, I would say probably maybe the most expensive I had to pay for a flight was maybe like 250 euro. Maybe. I think that was honestly when we went to Rome that those flights were like 200 euros. So it wasn't as cheap as one might think, or like how I feel like maybe 5 years ago it was cheaper than it is. I was out there 2022 through 2024. I feel like my best friend, she lived in London for a couple years. I feel like when she was out there in like 2020, it was cheaper for her to do some stuff than it was when I moved to Europe. But I still made it work. A lot of people also talk about trains. When I was in Santander, because you're in the very, very north, it was a lot easier for me to get on their version of the Greyhound. What was that bus company called? ALSA, ALSA. Yeah, ALSA. It was a lot easier for me to get a cheap, like 20 euro bus ticket to go to Madrid than it was for me to get on the train, because the trains would either be at like 4 in the morning or like 4 at night. Like it was weird. There was only 2 trains that would come to take you to Madrid. So sometimes I would fly to Santander. Santander does have an airport, but it's small. It has like 7 gates. Or I would take an hour bus and go to Bilbao, because Bilbao is bigger than Santander, and I could fly to their airport, which was still a small airport, but bigger than Santander. Or I would take the 5-hour bus from Santander to Madrid. I would leave Santander usually at like 12:45 a.m. and I would get to Madrid at 6 a.m. And then I would get on a flight like in the Madrid airport at like 8 a.m. That's how I did traveling to like a lot of the places that were further out. Like when I went to Germany, it was like that. And then when I went to, probably Switzerland. Some places I did fly out of Madrid, some Bilbao, some Santander. I would just do price comparison at the time. But wherever was the cheapest location for me to fly out was where it would be the one that I would pick.
So, yes, the process of apartment hunting, how is it different from the States? And also, how much did it cost? Like, what was your housing costs and your utility costs?
So my first year when I lived in the shoebox, my rent was 450 euro a month. And that included all my utilities but Wi-Fi. And I think my Wi-Fi was also with Orange, my phone company. And my Wi-Fi was like 30 euros a month.
Oh, wow.
I was just on Idealista looking at stuff, but you would have to call them on WhatsApp. Like if you were to message them on Idealista, like a lot of the times they would leave you on red. You would have to call whoever had the posting directly, or they call them inmobiliarias, but they're basically like what do you call those people here? Like a rental office, basically. Like a realtor, but for rent.
Yeah, a leasing office.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why that was escaping me, but you would have to call them and then they would have you tour the apartment or whatever. The only thing about those is if you go with one of those, which I did, because most of the apartments that I found were like through rental offices or leasing offices, you would have to pay them a fee as well. They want their little piece of the pie, but you can negotiate that fee. And I always negotiated that fee. But that's how, but I would call. Yeah, I would call and say, I'm looking for like now I need somewhere to stay now. And I would go tour it. But it's because of siesta and stuff, you could do a tour at like 11 a.m. or you could do a tour at like 7 p.m. So a lot of my tours were like in the evening time, like 5, 6, 7 p.m. of like different apartments. But my first year, I was getting paranoid because it felt like it was taking me forever to find somewhere to stay. And like I had an apartment I liked, but then it fell through because they gave it to somebody else.
Okay.
And then that's how I ended up in the shoebox. But the shoebox was like basically Center City. So where the apartment that fell through, I feel like it fell through because it needed to fall through because it wasn't as close to the to Center City as I wanted to be. And I wanted to be, I was like, I'm doing my Eat, Pray, Love, like / City Girl era. Like I need to be in the thick of the action. So that's how I did that for my first year. And then my second year, so I stayed in Spain over that summer because, we ended school May 31st. So I stayed in Spain over that summer. That's another story. But I stayed in Spain over that summer. And because I was there over that summer, I got to look at apartments kind of more or quicker, sooner than everybody else. So I had more to pick from. Because when everybody's moving that September for us to start work in October, everything's going quick. But when you're there over the summer in June, July, I started hunting in like July, and I found the apartment that I stayed in my second year, which was also in the city. But it was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. So I had more space, more room, and I had time. All of these apartments were furnished, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it, but everything came furnished. And that one was $550 a month. And my utilities were not included in that one. And my Wi-Fi bill had went up because they put me with somebody else. I forgot that company, but it had went up. I think it was like $40, 40 euro a month. And my utilities, I would pay, it was like for 3 months at a time.
Okay.
So she would show me like I really did like my landlord my second year, but she would literally send me the screenshots of like the whatever I was consuming and like, the month and the graph and everything. And I would just send her the money for my utilities that I was using in the apartment.
Okay, nice. Oh, so you were talking about siesta. So how real is siesta? Is it every day they take a break? Like, is it 2 hours? Is it 12 to 2? Is it sometimes? Is it Sundays? And then do they really shut down in August? Because they always say like they're like August is a ghost town in Spain.
Siesta is real. I would say siesta is kind of like a 3 to 5 thing. 2 to 4, 3 to 5, because everything is pushed back. Lunch is at 2, dinner's at like 9, so everything is pushed back. I feel like, so no, siesta is real. Now, granted, like stores are open. If you want to go to the grocery store, it's going to be open during siesta. If you want to go, to the gas station or whatever, it's going to be open during siesta. But if you're going to like a Spanish-owned business, it is not going to be open during siesta. Like, the mall is open, like retail and stuff like that, major retail. But if you're going to like a Spanish-owned business, no, they are closed and they will reopen after siesta. Everybody gets a break.
So if lunch is at 2, what time is breakfast?
Okay, see, I feel like they don't really do breakfast for real. Like they do, because when I would go to work and we would have our, like when the kids would go to recess, I would always be in the break room. I would bring my granola and everything, and everybody would just be drinking coffee. And I'm like, is nobody hungry? So I would eat, they're like, Tamaya, no, we're not hungry. So I would eat breakfast at home, and then I would have my snack at work. And then when I got off work, that's when I would have my lunch. No, they don't do big breakfast. It's like a toast or a croissant or like nothing like how we think of breakfast, all-star special. No, that's not what that's not what they're doing. They're eating these little bites for breakfast. So that was an adjustment. But I'm not gonna lie, I did not adjust to that. I kept up my American eating schedule. Like I would be eating dinner by 8. And even still, that's kind of like late. But I was still, unless we were going out somewhere, friends, and we knew we had a dinner reservation or something. If we had a dinner reservation, the earliest you could make it would be like 8 o'clock, 8:30. And we will always be the first ones in the restaurant because the Spanish people aren't coming till like 9, 10 o'clock. But they always do big dinner. That's always a big thing, big dinner. So, but August being a ghost town, I don't think it was a ghost town. But maybe it's because I lived in a beach town. So, we in August, it was booming.
Okay.
Maybe it's because they did tell me that a lot of Spanish people would come to Santander for the summer.
Okay.
So that's probably why I didn't notice that personally. But I mean, the beaches were gorgeous, beautiful. So there were always, in the summertime, it was booming for sure.
So maybe because they eat later, because if you're starting eating at 9, you're probably not done till like 10:30. Maybe that's why they don't do breakfast. They're so full.
I don't know. I don't know. I know I was eating. I was eating. I was like, if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. I'm not letting y'all dictate my time. Like, what time does a stomach open? I'm not. Yeah, I would eat. I would not let myself not eat. So, but they're on a different schedule. But they're also very like fit. they're very active. You know, the cities are walkable, so they're doing a lot more exercise in general, I feel. So they just have a healthier lifestyle. Oh, I did go to Magdalena. I have a video about it on my channel, actually. I did go to the palace. It's like a castle and a park, and it's very nice. It's very cute out there, and they have a little zoo. But it's like one of the destinations in Santander that people like, they recommend for tourists to go see. So I said, well, let me go see it, and it was nice.
Okay. So you there 2 years. How did you handle the healthcare?
Oh, so the good thing about if you're a part of the NowCap program is you have insurance, but it is private. Okay. It's sponsored by a company out there called Assisa. So like once you get out there and you start your job, they give you your insurance card. What I do want to tell people though is it's not like the States. You have to go to the doctor for everything. Like, how here we can get over the counter. Like, I have bad allergies. I have to take allergy medicine year round. I had to go to the doctor to get my refills every time for allergy medicine.
Okay.
And for us, that's a bit strange because it's like, it's allergy medicine. You can just go buy allergy medicine.
Yeah.
No. And their cold medicine sucks. I would always try to get people to bring me cold medicine from the States because the cold medicine doesn't do anything. It's not strong. I don't know what they're giving people, but it doesn't knock out a cold. Because I did get sick a lot the first year because I was working with kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was down bad. It seemed like I was always sick, at least in the first year. Second year, it was better, but my first year, I got sick a lot. And out there, like, I feel like you go to the doctor and they just give you antibiotics. So I'm like, but what if it's not like a virus, or like, it could just be a bad common cold. What I did like though is, well, this was a horrible cold I had. One time I had the flu, but they had a mobile doctor and I could not get out of bed. I felt so bad. So I called and they came and did my exam in my apartment.
That is so nice. I've heard that from people in Mexico that they can get their nails done at home. They can get their pet services, the vet services, the doctor services. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I only had to call him one time. That's why I say, hey, Ashley. I only had to call him one time, but when he came, I told my mom, I said, this was so dramatic because he came and I was telling him I can't breathe, I can't talk or whatever. And he said he got the tongue depressor. He was like, open your mouth. And I opened my mouth and he was like, I said, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to keep your cool. Why? But he said, oh, you have horrible flu. He was like, yeah, no. He was like, don't go anywhere. You need to stay inside. You have the plague. But I did like the mobile doctor. So insurance is really easy. And it came with vision and dental. I didn't mention that. It did come with vision. I think, did I have vision? I don't think I went to the eye doctor while I was out there, but I did go to the dentist and I got my teeth cleaned multiple times.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Easy. So did you feel safe walking around at night when you were there?
Yes. Very safe. What I tell people is, especially as a foreigner or you clearly look like you don't belong, nobody's really bothering you. The men are more scared of you than you are of them. Nobody was gonna do anything to me. I would walk home at night multiple times. Sometimes I'd be on the phone. I mean, I loved it because I could just walk with my headphones in and not a care in the world. Oh, miss that because I don't feel that way here. At night I felt fine. Me and my friends would go out at night, and nightlife in Spain is a very long process. So you'd be walking home at 4 or 5 in the morning and it'd be fine. Yeah.
So how has your quality of life improved, or how did it improve while you were living there versus when you were living in the US?
The reason I took the break and wanted to move to Spain in the first place is because I was so stressed out at my job that I was working at the time. I was like, bump this. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else. So I feel like in America, we're just so work driven. work dictates so many of the things that like we do and how we operate. And I feel like out there it was just so different. Like, yeah, you work, but like it's not like the end all be all. I always mix up the saying like live to work, work to live. I always mix up the saying, but out there you really like it's just work. You do your little bit of work that you have to do, the barest of minimums, and everybody gets a break. We love a break. The teachers loved a break. We would always be on break, or we would just, we would have classroom instruction, but like, we try to make everything fun and lighthearted, and especially with English. And like I said, every 2 months we had at least a week off. So the work-life balance was amazing. Amazing. I miss it. Quality of life was great. Yeah, skin was clear, everything like that. Great time. Maybe because of the sun too. I love the sun out there. Would I move back? Yeah, I would move back, but also it's not that I don't want to move back, but if I were to move back, I would want to move to somewhere else in Europe, not because I didn't like Spain, but just because I want to do something else, if that makes sense. Yeah. But if they called me tomorrow and was like, "Oh, do you want to move back?" Oh yeah, I'd go quickly. But I always said I want to move back to Europe. Top 3: Portugal, Netherlands, Switzerland. So really? Yeah, if I were to move back to Europe, it would be one of those 3 reasons. Just really quick reasons. Portugal, I feel like if I could pick up Portuguese.
Okay.
I really don't want to have to learn too many more languages. Not gonna lie, like it's got to be close to. I just love the Netherlands. I feel like they just have a really good like vibe. Every time I go there, I'm like, oh, it's just so nice. I always said I would want to move to Rotterdam. It's not Amsterdam. It's like the second biggest city out there, but it's a little less touristy. But it's still like a 40-minute train ride away from Amsterdam. But they have cool stuff. And they had a seafood boil place in Rotterdam. That was the first seafood boil I'd ever had in Europe. If you know me, seafood boil in the boil bag is like my favorite food. And then Switzerland, and I went to Switzerland. I was just like, man, they're just doing life right. I don't know. It just felt, for me, it just felt, yeah, Ashley put me in the suitcase. It just the vibe was, I was like, man, it is expensive, but like, it just felt great. I felt like anywhere I would go in Switzerland was just, so that's why I could move there. Looking at Spanish Girl, A1, B2, B2. I feel like now I'll probably give myself B2, C1. And that's like, these are like fluency levels. So like a native speaker would be a C2.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right above. So you're right above native.
Oh no, below.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I were to I haven't taken an examination like thing, but I feel like if I were to take a test, it'd probably be between B2, C1 level for Spanish. But yeah, see, everybody's ready to go. No one wants to be here anymore. I can't blame us. We're ready to go. And I know people romanticize life in Europe a lot. And I'm not saying that America is bad. There are comforts that we have here in America, like seasoning. But like it was just, I just like I feel like the way that Europeans live life, it's just not as necessarily as work, so much work.
Yeah.
I think that's what I like about it the most.
So the siesta, you said it was like 3 to 5, 2 to 4. Is that every day, or is that just Monday to Friday?
I guess it's every day.
Wow.
I guess. I mean, on the weekend, more restaurants would be open, but they would have their siesta and stuff. So yeah, I guess it would be every day. Now, when you're somewhere in Madrid, like I said, bigger cities, siesta is not going to be as common because they do cater to, tourists or just being, more people. But in Santander, they were serious. Stuff was closed.
Okay, so you wake up, it's Tuesday morning, and what does your day look like? What did your day look like over there?
Ooh, okay, on a Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday for me, because like I said, I worked at the school I worked at Wednesday through Friday. But my second year out there, I worked at the English Academy Monday through Thursday. So Tuesday for me, I would get up and I would go to the gym and I would do my glutes class. And that lady was crazy, but she had us fit. She had us fit. I would do my Tuesday 9:30 glutes class. I probably would I was hurting walking for 2 days straight after it, but I would always go because it was a great workout. So I would do that, have my breakfast. Honestly, take a nap. Because I didn't have to work at the English Academy until like 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. So, 4 o'clock. So yeah, I would get up and go to the gym. That's sometimes, or like if I didn't take a nap after gym and breakfast, sometimes I would go out with friends, go to the beach, use that time to edit my content that I was creating while I was out there. So my Tuesdays were pretty nice. And then I would have my little 3 hours that I would do at the English Academy. Then I would come home and have dinner, and get ready because I was, working Wednesday through Friday at the school. So I Tuesday nights, I would wind down,
Okay.
But they were a pretty chill day for me as far as like work responsibilities and things like that. So, but I made sure to get my workout in.
Good. Sounds relaxing.
Yeah.
So what is a must-try dish? I know you didn't really like the food, but there must have been something that was like a go-to, or if you moved back, you're like, I'm glad I could get this again.
That we can't get here. I miss my chicken wing man. He was great. It was like this kebab place because they're in Europe, they're big on like kebab.
Yes.
But his spot just had the best chicken wings. There were like 2 chicken wing spots. There were 2 chicken wing spots I really liked, and then there was a fried chicken place that I took my family to. It was called Captain Chicken. It was like an American themed restaurant, but it was so cute. And then like actual Spanish food, I don't know. I mean, great sangria.
Oh yes.
Yeah, great sangria. But the thing is with the sangria there, it would only be in season like spring, summer. They only did it when it was like in season. If you're getting sangria out of season, it's not as good.
Because of the fruits.
Yeah, in season. Which I mean, I guess we could do it here, but it wouldn't taste the same. But it was like a play on the sangria. It's called Tinto Verano. So it's like summer wine, basically, but it's a red wine. You don't have to do an expensive one. Really, it's better with a cheaper one, and you mix it with the lemon Fanta.
Okay.
So that was yeah. Yeah, I know I keep talking about drinks, but that was the good thing. Food, yeah, food out there. Like I said, McDonald's. I want a Biscoff McFlurry. Like that was really good.
That does sound good.
Yeah, so stuff like that. But yeah, that would probably be my first thought. Would honestly probably be McDonald's.
So do you think you're gonna go back to Europe anytime soon? Like to move? You think you're gonna move soon?
I hope so. I probably, I always do like a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. So I might be here, for a couple more years because, you have periods where you're stacking your money and then you have periods where you're spending it. When you're living abroad, you're spending your money because you're traveling. Mm-hmm. So we are back in stack season. So once stack season is over, I don't know how long that's going to be for me currently, but once stack season has, I have stacked what I would like to stack. I would like to go back to Europe for sure. Who knows, but while I'm over here, I want to do some more travel, South and Central America because I'm closer geographically. So that's kind of like what I want my next travel focus to be. In the upcoming year or two is do some, because I've never been to South America, never been to Central America. I would consider myself an expert on Europe. There's still a few countries I want to go to in Europe, but I've probably been to at least 60%. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm focusing on and what I want to do travel wise coming up here soon.
Nice. Well, thank you for being on the channel. I learned a lot, and I think the guests did too. So
yes, I was just on here yapping away. Oh my gosh.
No, it was great information. with the Fanta Limon.
Yeah, Fanta Limon. Yeah, my sister tried it. It's once you know, it just hits different. But I am looking into a digital nomad visa. Yeah, so that would be something. I just have to get. I'm back doing my finance, corporate girly thing.
Yeah.
But once I, can get me another like job that's a bit more flexible, then I would be looking into the digital nomad visa, and that Portugal does those. That's why I'm like, Portugal is a good one to do, and also the Netherlands. So different places like that. But I do want to move back abroad. So I know I'm back in the States now, but everybody knows, my friends and my family know, the moment that I can get gone, I'm out of here.
That's the way to do it. See the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. We will hopefully have you back on, and maybe it'll be after you spend a couple years in South America, and you could tell us like Colombia versus all the other.
Yeah, and I gotta do some more Spanish. I gotta go to. That's another reason too. Gotta do some more Spanish-speaking countries with different dialects to see. But yeah, thank y'all for coming. I hope y'all enjoyed the yap sesh.
It was fun.
Yes, and thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thank you for being here. It was great.
Thank y'all. Y'all already know what to do. Subscribe.
Yeah, okay, let me put your channel. Hold on.
New content is coming soon. New content is coming soon. But yes.
The link is here. Here it is, Black Imperial Travel. Go ahead and subscribe.
Yes.
Until next time.
Yes, thank y'all so much.
Bye.
Bye.